Divorce is tough, but your finances don't have to be. I'm David Cross, and I'm a certified divorce financial analyst practitioner. My job is to help you get a fair financial settlement in your divorce and to guide you to smarter money decisions. Find out how we can help you. U.S. Asset Management. It's your money and your future.
I do believe that eventually we have more to gain by strengthening our trade ties with the United States. And of course, we have established now a balance, but at the end of the day, we all need to be concerned about what's happening in China. And it's China right now that is, the export powerhouse that's flooding the world with very, very cheap products, and that is threatening our industry. So I would argue that we still have much more in common in terms of thinking as, in the context of a transatlantic bloc that will, however, recalibrate the role of Europe. I mean, how can we argue that we can be an important partner, for example, in NATO if we don't increase our defense spending? We need to step up to the plate in defense and competitiveness, what we discussed. This will inevitably make the relationship with the US more balanced.
Well, how come? Listen, we have a history now. Again, history has to be invoked. But we have a history of hospitality that we want to keep and we want to nourish. As you may know, Albania is the only country in Europe, in this we are unique, to end the Second World War with more Jews than starting the war, and where there is no record of a single Jew that has been consigned to the Nazis. We saved, and by protecting 25,000 Italian occupiers when Italy capitulated, and we protected them from the Nazis. Yes, we are a member of NATO, but still, it's not that we decide much there. And when NATO does something good, like, for example, liberating Kosovo, we say we did a great thing. When NATO does something bad, like leaving Afghanistan, like they did, we say it's their fault. So, because the big ones take the blame, the small ones can take also some merit when there is something to take.
Majestic X, we intend to conduct the boarding of your vessel.
Да. Вот ты! Вам труба! Паскуды! Яка поліція? Яка? 102? Поліція. Який? Поліція яка? Там напиши в інтернеті. І швидку. Ти знімаєш, так? Да. Ну його просто ведуть по землі. Добрий день.
Welcome back to the SCIF. Thanks for joining us today. I'm on the road in Savannah, Georgia, doing some political events. Just got out of a meeting, but wanted to get the show done. We've been talking about Rumble for some time, so I think we've got that issue resolved where they were blocking our streaming onto Rumble, or at least it appeared that way on our main channel, CDM1. I think we've got that resolved. I think it's streaming now. If there's any problems, please let me know. But another hurdle thrown in our way that we overcome. You saw in the cold open, Europe trying to figure out what it's going to do. Is it going to fight Russia? Is the U.S. going to back us up one more time? What's going on? You saw Reza Pahlavi, the Shah's son, have paint thrown on him in a demonstration by an Iranian demonstrator. There are efforts outside the country to install him in power. We had Ali Safavi on this week from the Iranian resistance to talk about that issue and how actually it should go down in Iran as any kind of regime change comes. We'll stay on top of that story. It's a big one. We've been on it for years, and we are the best source, we think, for what's happening inside Iran. You also saw the U.S. government continuing, the U.S. Navy continuing to board tankers and Iranian ships around the globe. So that is going on. And then you saw, again, more disturbing evidence of Ukraine being depopulated. And that was the bounty hunters coming inside a house, even through the roof, to grab a guy out of his home and take him to the front where he's going to last a period of hours or days. So again, the depopulation of Ukraine continues, and the African migrant influx is pending. Wait for it. A lot to talk about today. I've got a great guest lineup. Thierry Laurent will be here shortly to talk about what's happening in Europe. Europe is confused and is dying and doesn't have the will to survive. So far, it doesn't look that way. We'll be doing more reporting from Savannah, Georgia here shortly. The city is infested by crime, and it is a major problem on the eastern seaboard. It's a major port. It's a major military center and economic focus, and we're going to bring attention to that. So also we have John Konrad in the second hour. The Secretary of the Navy resigned yesterday, or I should say resigned. He was fired by the Trump administration. So we're going to discuss what's going on behind that with John Konrad, Mr. Merchant Marine and one of our best naval maritime sources out there. And he runs G-Captain, which is the biggest merchant marine site in the world. All right, let's do the mission brief. Today is April 23rd. I'm your host, Todd Wood. This is your mission brief. Judge blocks Virginia redistricting. That is a good thing for the nation and for Virginia. Again, an ongoing developing story. Probably be more on that today. The Abigail Spanberger, the CIA operative who took over Virginia, lied, said she was a moderate, got into office, went full leftist. She is trying to redistrict the state so that 10 seats or more flip to the Democrats and looking to impeach Trump in the next Congress. Navy Secretary fired. We'll dig into that. Pentagon Press Corps is simply a market intelligence apparatus and a bunch of agents for the defense contractors. I want to discuss that because I saw it and put an article out yesterday. The rise of autism, and a grand jury indicts Southern Poverty Law Center. So much to go through. We'll be right back. We got a lot to talk about today. Stay with us here on the SCIF. We'll be right back.
Excited to announce that we're having our biggest Made in America sale ever. We just put huge discounts on products made right here in the USA. MyPillow bed pillows, body pillows, go anywhere pillows, bolster pillows, all made with my patented adjustable fill. Mattresses, mattress toppers, mattress pads, adjustable bed frames, mattress foundations, and so much more. All made right here in the USA. And now we're expanding our USA products beyond just quality sleep. Like the cross I wear every day, now available in both men's and women's. We even have USA-made socks. And are you tired of being tired? Try our new health beverage, Rev 7. Or how about my coffee, the greatest coffee ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to get deep discounts on all these products. Plus, for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Divorce is tough, but your finances don't have to be. I'm David Cross, and I'm a certified divorce financial analyst practitioner. My job is to help you get a fair financial settlement in your divorce and to guide you to smarter money decisions. Find out how we can help you. U.S. Asset Management. It's your money.
A warm welcome here at the National Press Club. Welcome to the journalists, welcome to the Embra team, and welcome to the other guests that we have here. We're going to announce, and as some of you guessed it right when they came in, the first E2 order by an American operator. And that operator is Avello. We believe this is really a strategic shift to unlock profitability for the customer. I'm very pleased that we have Andrew Levy here as the CEO of Avello, and I'm very pleased to give the stage to share a little bit more about what Avello is going to do with the E2 195. Thank you very much.
Couldn't be more excited to be here as part of this historic announcement. We have such a great cultural fit as companies, so we're very, very excited to be Embraer's newest customer. We launched our airline in April of 21, and our target is focusing on small secondary airports of large metro areas. We've carried over 8 million customers since we started on 63,000 flights. And we've done all these things with 1,200 of the greatest crew members I could ever imagine having, and many of them are here with me today. This is the right airplane for us. It's going to open up opportunities for us that no other aircraft can serve. The best thing about the airplane, of course, is you will not find a middle seat on this airplane. It doesn't exist. We won't have any to offer. It's going to be the best cabin in the United States, and we're so excited about that. This is going to elevate our experience to the highest level, and we think our customers are absolutely going to love the airplane.
Fighting soldiers from the sky, fearless men who jump and die, men who mean just what they say, the brave men of the Green Beret, silver wings.
Okay, we're back on the SCIF. I see Thierry Laurent in the green room, but he's muted. If you're there, Thierry, bring on your camera so I can see you, so I can bring you on. Not sure what's going on there, but we'll talk a few stories while we're waiting on Thierry to come in. Stand by 1 second while we bring those up. All right. Oh, there he is. His beautiful face. Thierry, how you doing, my friend?
I'm very tired, my poor Todd. You know, I've been going through major procedure in the hospital because I had 2 shoulders dislocated, the 2 knees extended, and 2 muscles in the legs torn apart. So the last 3-4 months, it has been very difficult. unfortunately, but my tongue is still functioning. So basically, I can still talk.
Excellent.
Macron, which is a very good news for me and for the French people.
Well, what is speaking? I'm glad your surgeries are. I know you're recovering, and we haven't had you on because you've been having some extremity problems. But what's going on in Europe? What's happening?
Well, first of all, you might understand, in fact, the impact that what is happening in Iran has on our economy. Mm-hmm. Europe is sticking on their green agenda. All those politicians, they are not understanding that economy is running on energy. They are still sticking on the ideology of this green agenda that has been developed by the West. And they don't realize at which point this is impacting our life. With the Iranian crisis, the diesel has been climbing to a level that is not sustainable anymore for at least 50 to 60% of the population. Mm-hmm. To give you an idea, if I want, in fact, to make a comparison of what we are paying in terms of gasoline, it would be the equivalence to pay $16.7 per gallon in the US. Amazing. So when you know that, let's say, 40% of the population is making about $1,500 per month, those guys, they are spending about 30 to 40% of their incomes on energy. So basically, they are working only to feed the car, and they cannot feed their family. We have about 50% of the population that has difficulties, in fact, to pay for the food. And I would say 12 to 15% are skipping one meal every two.
That's
you understand what does it mean on the social point of view? We still have a government that try, in fact, to fill the holes he has been digging with whatsoever taxes he can invent, in fact, to make sure that the budget is going to be complete. But this is not by trying to pump a very small amount of money compared to what is the black hole of our budget that you are going to restructure an economy. If you want to restructure an economy, the first thing that you need to do is to give buying power to the population. Because buying power, what does it mean? It means people are going to consume. And if people are consuming, then it has a major impact on the economy because the companies, they can continue to hire, they can continue to pay the people at the right level. And unfortunately, those cases don't understand it. We are the only country here in France which government haven't been cutting off the taxes. You know, the specificity in France is that they have been putting together a mechanism called TIPP that is a flexible taxes. And on top of this, we are paying a VAT that is packaging the TIPP plus the raw price plus the retail price. So you can imagine that those guys, they do not want to touch what we call the TIPP and to shrink it in the way that the energy will be keeping its affordability. So basically, this is a major problem for us. To give you an idea of what is happening in France, last year, 68,600 companies have been going bankrupt. You know how many this year? 71,000.
Well, Thierry, this is obviously, this is intentional. I mean, you say they don't know what they're doing with energy. I don't believe that anymore. They have to know. or they're just being paid and told what to do, or both. I mean, this is not an accident, or it's not incompetence. This is intentional destruction of a society. Am I right?
Well, this is what I envision in regard of this policy and these intentional policies that you are just underlining.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys, they want absolutely in Europe that people will be shifting to electric.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically what they're doing is constraining people by making the diesel as expensive as possible in the way that people will be shifting.
Mm-hmm.
But what do we know about EVs? It is extremely expensive to buy.
Mm-hmm.
It is about 30% above, in fact, the diesel vehicle. And you think that people that are constrained on a financial point of view to buy the food are going to afford to buy an EV? I don't think so.
Yeah.
It is not going to happen. But this guy is so stubborn, so stupid, and so narrow-minded that they don't realize that this is not going to fly. And what I am measuring in my surrounding, if you go to the market, you go to the supermarket, anywhere you're going to go, first of all, you see that the consumption has been dropping dramatically, that people are very careful about what they are buying, at which price they are buying it.
Mm-hmm.
During the weekend, nobody's on the road. Nobody. Mm-hmm. You see, like ghost city. Mm-hmm. The Galleria for shopping of shopping centers empty. The boutiques, they are closing one after the other. And at the end of the story, when you discuss with people, you are measuring, in fact, the level of angriness that is developing in the country. And if they continue like this, what is going to happen? People will go in the street, and this is going to be a new episode of the Yellow Jacket. But
well, when is that, Thierry? When is that going to happen? We've been talking about this for a long time in France. When does it get to that point?
Well, you know, you are pushing people in the street based on the moment they start to be starving. Mm-hmm. And we are reaching this level. Mm-hmm. It's not still at the level that people will go in the street and break everything. Mm-hmm. But what we are going to experience in the next 2 to 3 weeks is going to be critical. Mm-hmm. People, and even with educated people around me, they don't really understand the stake of what is happening in the Gulf. The Hormuz Strait constraint that has been set up and that is blocking the worldwide economy will have a major impact. Today, we have about 2,000 gas stations that are closed because there is no supply. It's over. I have 3 gas stations around my place. You will not find any liter of gasoline. It's impossible. The guy is saying, sorry, we are not delivered. End of the story. In Paris, diesel is right now at 2.5, 2.6, 2.7 euro per liter. So time it by 3.8, and you will see how much costs a gallon. And on top of it, the euro is above the dollar. So you can imagine, in fact, what those guys in Paris are paying. It's almost 15 to 20% above the price that you're going to find here in the south of France. This is becoming crazy. And on top of it, if you look at the inflation that is linked to transportation, to manufacturing, that is linked to energy, of course. Well, this is skyrocketing. We are facing about 24% of inflation on fresh products for the year to year. 24%. Mm-hmm. How do you expect people, in fact, to buy a kilo of potato or a kilo of tomato in those conditions?
Yeah.
And they are telling us, don't worry about it. This is just like a small episode. We're just monitoring what is happening. We will help a little bit the transportation company. We are going to cut off like 10 to 15 cents per liter. But 10 to 15 cents per liter, this is still €2 above. how do you want, in fact, those guys, in fact, to have a business model that is functioning?
Yeah.
And we see now trucking companies preferring to leave the truck on the parking lot instead of operating, because they know that if they will operate, they will lose money. This is becoming completely crazy. Now, let's look at what is happening in the Middle East, because this is major. First of all, the last tankers, they have been landing in Europe about 3 weeks ago. Since then, game over. Nothing is coming in. So basically, we know that 20 to 30% of our supply is coming from this region of the globe. On top of it, we need to consider that 320 super tankers, they are locked up on the wrong side of the Hormuz Strait. That means that the vectors necessary to ship the oil from other sources is not possible because they are locked up. And people, they don't realize that. They are like, oh, don't worry about it. They are going to make a peace deal and everything will be fine. No, it will not. Because the time those super tanker will be evacuating the region is going to take a while. Yes. And during these 2 to 3 months to reassign, in fact, the supply chains linked to energy, what are we going to do? This morning, Lufthansa, one of the biggest company in Europe, has been an airline company, have been announcing that they are canceling, listen the number, 20,000 flights.
Yeah.
20,000 flights. And this is for a very specific reason. The jet fuel is a very particular carburant. If you look at the refinery, they are producing about 17% of the oil that is coming in. And as this is a very volatile carburant, we cannot store it in mass because this is asking for very high security level procedure and mechanism. So in each airport, you will find a maximum of 3 to 4, 5 days supply. So basically, the supply chain is established in the way that there is a roll-up to continue to operate.
Right.
And now what we are observing is that the companies, at certain moment, they are obliged to cancel the flight because it's another carburant. And this is just the beginning of the crisis, because for the moment, most of the countries in Europe, they are running on the strategic reserve that has been established.
Let me ask you, Thierry, because is Trump doing this on purpose to bring down these European globalist governments, or what do you think?
And that is a very interesting question. And I have been asking this, and I've been coming out with a theory. It is what it is, but discussing with my peers all around me, they think that the probability of credibility of whatsoever I'm going to tell you is pretty high. So basically, we know that there is an antinomy between the governments in Europe and whatsoever Donald Trump has been putting together to destroy completely the wokeism and all the projects and values associated. And he has been doing a pretty good job, actually. So basically, that is certainly one of the reasons why there is like a big friction. And Trump, who wants, in fact, to withdraw from the expense of NATO, and especially in Europe, because he knows that those guys, they really want to go after Russia, and this will be exposing two major nuclear power. This is extremely dangerous.
Well, it also shows he doesn't trust. I mean, he doesn't want Europe to drag him into that war. So he doesn't want the Article 5, clause to have to support them when they go to war with Russia.
That is
correct?
One of the reasons why he has been distancing himself from, in fact, supplying Ukraine and and helping, in fact, the Europeans to continue this build-up to come out to war. And I will tell you, in fact, what is brewing inside of Europe in the way that you will leverage, in fact, how serious these guys, they are about, in fact, to go after Russia, which will bring us, in fact, to total destruction. So basically, as Trump has been completely abandoning Europe in regard of this conflict in Europe between Ukraine and Russia, what the Europeans are doing right now is dropping the help regarding Iran. It's like, you don't help us, we don't help you. Because in the back end, what is happening is that they want him to fail.
Yes.
And actually, there are a lot of things that Trump is doing that are surprising me somewhat, and that are kind of suspicious. But we will speak about that after. Okay. So basically, you're completely right on that. Trump is trying to find a way to justify the drop of NATO in Europe, because he knows pertinently that those guys, they will do everything possible to trigger this conflict. A conflict that can bring, in fact, to a nuclear retaliation, absolutely catastrophic for everybody on this planet.
I think they want that. I think they want that desperately. I think the globalists want a nuclear war.
I'm going to give you some elements that will give you a good idea of what is brewing in the pot in the back end. Macron has been deciding to build the biggest military hospital very close to my place, actually. In Marseille, it's about 40 kilometers from where I live. So when you are building such infrastructure hospital, it means that there is an intention in regard of whatsoever can happen. That is the first point. The second point, they have been forcing the hands of Slovakia, Hungary, to sign up for this $90 billion budget to continue to support Ukraine. For what? For what? Ukraine has been losing 1.8 to 1.9 soldiers. Disabled, completely destroyed, or dead. This is like a major hit on the future of the population.
Of
because
course.
how they are going to be able to grow, it is impossible. And on top of it, about 17 million of them, they have been leaving the country. So basically, on the demographic point of view, Ukraine is gone. And now we have a government that is, first, illegal, and second, decide to drop down the requisition in terms of age. They want to recruit the young people between 18 and 22. Zelensky has been asking the German government, in fact, to expel the men that are susceptible, in fact, to go to fight. And of course, Merz has been saying, don't worry about it, I'm going to send you the people. The same thing in Ireland, a little bit everywhere in Europe. So basically, what does it mean? It means that they are desperate to find the right resources, because the Russian army is hitting so hard that it's wiping out most of the resources. And we are looking at it on the battlefield point of view, because the progression of the Russian army is significant.
We've reported that the females are now going to, or are being conscripted, and also a big push for robots. But they were also bringing in Africans now. Thierry, they're talking about Africans coming in to replace the labor in Ukraine. So.
Well, if you look at the African population, they are more willing, in fact, to go to fight for Russia than for Ukraine, period. Because how could you explain that 54 of the 56 countries in Africa has been attending to the St. Petersburg summit? So what does it mean? It means that if they are looking after resources there, they are making a very big mistake. And actually, I'm getting interviewed by lots of TVs in Africa. And those guys, they are telling me how keen they are to be aligned with Russia. So basically, if Ukraine is looking after resources there, this is a major mistake. So let's continue, in fact, the narrative and the preparation that is made in Europe in fact, to go after war with Russia. Germany has been transforming its industry. You see companies like Volkswagen that is stopping the production of cars and go after military equipment. What the hell is this story about? You see the major factory in Volkswagen. It's a factory I know very well because I was working for a project for Volkswagen during 2 years when I was working for IT Technologies in Dallas, Texas. So this is like a factory that I know very well. It's absolutely gigantic. It's very surprising to hear that those guys, they want to stop to build cars, you know? And this is even more surprising to know that this company was built under the order of Hitler. It's like a comeback in the history. This is very early. Another point that is very important. Lately, we had a commissions within the equivalence of Congress in French is the Parliament. And this commission was about, in fact, to audit governmental structure that is financing most of the media. And we have been hearing from the director of this organization called France Télévisions, that she is also part of a structure within the European Union, and she is coordinating a chain of media all across Europe to make sure that in time of war, there will be the right channel to distribute the certified information to the population. That was absolutely surprising because we were not expecting to hear this kind of things. It was coming out of the blue. And I do believe that she has been trying to brag and because she wanted to justify her increased demand in terms of budget, because there was major abuse of taxpayer money. And suddenly she has been coming out with this justification to the big surprise of every senators and every deputies. So basically, when you have a very serious intention to trigger a conflict, this is the kind of things that you will put together. When we look at the European Union and whatsoever they are putting together in terms of communication right now, they are trying to put to increase the footprint of this famous DSA control of communication on the different media, to make sure that people like me wouldn't be able, in fact, to counterpart the narrative that is going to be built in regard of their intention to go at war. We are facing very serious problem here.
Yeah.
And there are some other factors that make me think that they are very, very serious about that. Yeah. First of all, this is helping them to justify the federalization of Europe that most of the population in Europe do not want. I'm speaking with Finnish, with Croatian, with Bulgarian, with Italian people. Those guys, they don't want to hear about it. Because Europe is not a country. It is an aggregation of states that is very much right now looking like the USSR. And if you look at all the structure and all the, the organizations that has been set up, this is the mirror of the USSR. And we all know how this has been ending, you know. And this morning, I have been hearing something even more surprising, is that Macron has been ordering the deployments of nuclear missiles over a sort of simulation along the border of Russia this morning. Mm-hmm. When you do this kind of provocation, you are raising the stake of tension, and this can drift very, very fast to something that is unthinkable.
Well, Medvedev is talking openly about attacking European capitals now.
Yeah.
And armament plants. Yes.
Actually, I'm going to surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
6 months ago, one of our deputy, Mr. Morlex, has been murdered.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, he was writing a book regarding the Alstom story, in which he was exposing the corruption of most of the politicians in France that were linked to this company. And he has been discovering that there was a commission of $1 billion that has been distributed. And we don't know who has been the receptor of this commission. But not only, actually, one of my colleagues, Eric Denessé, who used to be in the information services of our Navy, has been participating to this study, to this book, sorry. And I was supposed, in fact, to meet him in June when I was coming back from Russia, because I had a lot of meetings there and a lot of interviews. And when I come back and I tried to contact him, I heard that he has been murdered. Mm-hmm. I was very shocked because I was supposed to meet him a couple of days right after I was coming back. And more or less, actually, there was another hypothesis that brings, in fact, the reason for which he has been killed is that he was putting together a commission to forbid Macron to set up the mutualization of our nuclear arsenal in Europe. Mm-hmm. And we know for sure that those guys, they are working all together and secretly to build a European nuclear weapon. This is extremely dangerous because who would be guaranteeing the security, the usage, the decisions, and so on? This is a very scary stuff because if our security is indexed on countries like the Baltic State, I am not going to sleep anymore because those cases are completely nuts.
Actually, you also have the big migrant population like in the UK, where you could have an African nation in the UK with nuclear weapons, essentially.
And on top of it, we have people that are extremely racist, that has a very strong background of collaboration with Hitler during the Second World War. And Baltics, those guys, they haven't been digesting their past. Mm-hmm. And they want, in fact, to put their past on the table for a sort of revenge. Unfortunately, what is scaring me is that they don't really realize how serious the people that are in front of them are in regard of retaliation. I was in the office of a minister, Vladimir Putin, and this guy has been telling me explicitly, we are not trusting anybody in the West anymore. Confidence is gone. And actually, when the confidence is gone, you can imagine, in fact, where this can go. Sure. Because there is no trust, there is a sort of buildup of tension, and at a point in time, somebody is going to make a mistake. And this mistake can be fatal for millions and millions of people.
Yes.
So basically, at this stage, I am just wondering where we go like that.
Well, again, I think it's...
I was in...
Go ahead.
I was in Berlin. Last week, and I met with the widow of Mr. Larouche. And we had a lot of discussion regarding, in fact, the way that we need to coordinate the population, to inform them, and to put a platform to educate them in regard of the risk that is at the stake in Europe. And based upon, in fact, the comprehension of those population, we would be able, in fact, to protest and to bring so much pressure on those governments that they will have, in fact, to put the knees down. Yeah. Because at the point in time, it is a question to say to 50 guys, now you zip it, because 450 million of us are going to Russia.
Yeah.
It's a question of power, you know?
It is a question of power. It is. And that it has to get to that point because they're not going to stop. And again, I think it's intentional. I think they want a nuclear conflict. And I think it's part of the whole depopulation agenda. They depopulate Christian Europe. They bring in the Africans like they're already talking about doing in Ukraine, repopulate a slave population that they can control. I think that is the ultimate agenda.
Actually, oh, what happens?
Somebody called you.
Somebody called you. Okay. So actually, something is bothering me in regards of the behavior of Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to explain you why. Mm-hmm. You remember that last summer, he has been signing a bill, what he called the Big Beautiful Bill, in which there was a ban regarding the establishment of CBDC by the central bank. Mm-hmm. This bill was submitted to the Congress, and from the Congress to the Senate, the ban part has been disappearing. Mm-hmm. Wow. Why? Mm-hmm. This is very scary.
Yeah.
What does it mean? When I see, for example, Donald Trump discussing with Larry Fink, with Bill Gates, I am just like kind of puzzled, because I'm like, whoa, those guys are supposed to be your enemy. Mm-hmm. Why you are dining with them? You need to neutralize them. You need to make sure that those guys will be not misbehaving the way they have been doing for the last 10 years, that have been putting, in fact, the population at risk. And it's still on the table. Why those guys, they are not confronted in regard of the fact that they have been financing the fabrication of this COVID vaccine?
Yes.
And actually, most of the people around me who has been vaccinated, they have been infected 4, 5, 6, 7 times. I was not vaccinated. I got it 0. Zero. So basically, this is the kind of things that bothers me in regard of his behavior. Is he under the control of whoever for whatsoever? I cannot confirm it. But in regard of those facts, I'm kind of suspicious. There is another thing that bother me kind of a lot. The FISA deal with the digital ID. He is saying right now on his Trust Social Network that he wants to submit to this kind of mechanism. This is like putting the American population under scrutiny. So CBDC plus digital ID, this is like handcuff, meaning if you're not thinking the way I want you to think, then I would be able, in fact, to lock you down. No, I disagree with this. I've been submitting conflict resolution between Ukraine and Russia to one of the ministers of Vladimir Putin, and he went to see Lavrov, and he has been giving the document I've been writing. And I do believe that Lavrov and Putin has been discussing the matter at the point that the day after he was saying, Vladimir Putin was saying on TV, there are still people in Europe that understand what is the real problem and how to solve it. And we expect, in fact, to work with them in the way that we will stop, in fact, this terrible conflict. But I'm not in charge.
Yeah.
I'm not representing the state or whatsoever. But if we can make sure that we will be influencing the mass in the way that they understand how we can stop this terrible mess and put together a settlement to include the United States to make sure that you can support your debt, this is at that moment we are going to win, because there will be no one country against all the others. Everybody will be great again. You see what I mean?
I do, Thierry, and I have to go. So anything else you want to get out?
I think that we have been covering pretty much, in fact, everything.
Yes.
So basically, I wish you having a good day, my friend.
You too. Thank you. And get well so you can come back soon. What did you say?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
First time ever, we're bringing you MyPillow mattresses and mattress toppers for as low as $99.98. Remember, sleep's all about temperature and pressure points. Whatever sleep needs you have, we have the right technology for you. Like our MyPillow mattress topper, our queen size has over 10,000 individual comfort supports to help relieve your pressure points. And how about our 3-inch Hybrid Plus mattress topper? It's infused with copper and silver to help your body get the restorative sleep it needs. And our MyPillow and Case Coil mattresses, I personally helped develop these mattresses to make sure they have everything needed to give us great sleep. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they ship right to your front door, absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to get MyPillow mattresses and toppers for as low as $99.98 and free shipping.
I'm watching my friends gain more and more weight, and then eventually I got to tell you, this is a little dark, but bad diet literally killed my whole crew.
Wow.
Diabetes, a stroke. I mean, all kinds of stuff. It's like, you had a stroke? You're not even 50 years old. You guys got to quit eating this stuff. Your body knows what's what. You're not conscious of this. But that's why people will go to the refrigerator and they'll grab this and that and the other and put together this outrageously elaborate combination of foods. Your body's trying to reach balance. Unbeknownst to us, our bodies are always trying to reach homeostasis. You can't eat all of this stuff and expect to live a long time. And one thing led to another, and I went, forget this. We're going to make our own product. So we partnered with one of the world's top 3 biochemists where nutrition-specific study is concerned. I said, all I want is the best nutritional and immune support product in the world. So we mixed it in yogurt. It's a powder. I got a bag of it here. I keep one on the console all the time, just so I can show people.
Yeah.
And it's a powder. Now, this is not candy. This is hardcore nutrition. And sugar is an enemy. And most people do not know that the reason these bellies are showing up on people all over the place, your body makes fat to store the toxins it can't get rid of. So it just puts them over here. But I can tell you this, you take this for 30 days and then lay off of it for 2 or 3 days, and you'll go, good grief, give me some more. Skin, nails, hair growing back, cut yourself and it heals in half the time.
Put silver wings on my son's chest. Make him one of America's best. He'll be a man. He'll test one day. Have him win the Green Beret.
Welcome back to the SCIF. Hope you enjoyed, Thierry. I want to go through a few stories so you're up to speed on what's happening in the world. This one, outrage after Ursula von der Leyen in the EU groups Turkey into the malign axis with Russia and China. This is something you need to be aware of. Turkey is ascendant in the Middle East and West Asia and the Levant, and Israel doesn't like it. But it's a Sunni state, as are the Gulf nations, Pakistan and others, and it's a rising power. And so you have conflict coming between Israel and Turkey. It's been talked about. You had Tom Barrett come out recently and say, he's very big with the Turks, and said Turkey is not somebody to be messed with. So Ursula von der Leyen is going after Turkey, but Turkey's in NATO. I mean, you have all kind of games and lies and info wars and info ops being played out of Europe. It's a tyrannical state that wants power, and it sees Turkey in its way. So this is something you need to be cognizant of as we move forward into the future. All right, this one. The judge in Virginia blocked redistricting referendum results because, one, the elections were fraudulent, but also it doesn't make sense as far as for Virginia citizens is concerned. So that is ongoing. We'll see if that holds, but you need to be aware of it. Let's talk about this one in Connecticut. Connecticut schools are using Southern Poverty Law Center. Hold it, I just lost that. 1 second. Connecticut schools are using the Southern Poverty Law Center curriculum. There we go. Scroll that down. The Southern Poverty Law Center has been indicted by DOJ for certain criminal actions alleged but it's all infected in these blue states. We are in a communist revolution, friends, and they're not giving up. So I wanted you to be aware of that. You can see that on the Connecticut Sentinel. Also on the Connecticut Sentinel, the rise of autism becomes clearer. Again, very significant story. And you can also find this on the ConnecticutSentinel.com about the rise of autism and why and how it's happening. And the reason should stun everyone. This is by Dr. Malone, interesting piece. And then the last one I want to share before we go to a break and then have John Konrad on because we're behind on our breaks. The Secretary of the Navy resigned, or actually was forced out yesterday due to ongoing conflicts with the administration over the enlargement of the Navy. I want to know more about this, where hopefully Konrad can tell us more about that. But I also want to highlight a story on armedforces.press I dropped yesterday about the Pentagon Press Corps. Please read this one. My theory is that the Pentagon Press Corps, the Legacy Corps, is simply a market intelligence operation for defense contractors. They have no interest in winning wars, in helping the warfighter in the field, or exposing bad policies in the field. They just want to know what the next contract's going to be and what the line items look like and how they can get a piece of that contract for the whatever defense contractor they are working on. So please check that story out as well. We'll be right back with John Konrad at the top of the hour, and we're going to talk about the Navy and the Pentagon Press Corps. Stay with us.
Nuclear wasn't a product that was developed and to sell, really. What it really was a journey to get me well after my experience trying to immigrate and get married to an American citizen in order to get my green card. Towards the end, they send you for a medical, and that's where they sat me down and gave me 16 vaccines in one sitting. At the time, I knew when I was going through it that it's probably not good, but I didn't realize that I'm about to go through the worst health experience of my life. And that's when I went on this journey and understand that nutrition is actually your medicine. I've always heard the old people say your food's in your garden, but we didn't get it. And your body is always trying to heal itself. I mean, you know, when you cut yourself in a couple of days, it heals. And that is the process of homeostasis. Your body is always every cell in your body is always healing itself. And just like anything, if you bake a cake or you build a house, you need the right ingredients to achieve the result. Now, if you don't have the correct nutrition and you're not eating the correct food, it's like trying to build a house without bricks. Now, a lot of people, they say, what does nuclear do? Nuclear itself does nothing. It's not designed to do anything. Your body does the work. It gives your body all the things it needs balanced in, and it works together to deliver the correct nutritional supplement that you need as a human being to function normally.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers, as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, regular $69.98. Now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard MyPillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale only $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
All right, welcome back to the SCIF. Again, I'm on the road. I'm in Savannah, Georgia. We're doing some political reporting here for our paper, The Georgia Record. Expect that paper to grow and focus more on this port, big military port of entry into the U.S., military facilities, Army, Air Force, Navy, all of it is here, and a huge economic area of the country that we're going to focus on, especially with a lot of the shipbuilding coming, and hopefully Savannah and the Mississippi coast can get some of that business. All right, speaking of naval matters, I want to bring in John Konrad. He is my merchant marine maritime guy and knows exactly what's happening behind the scenes. So, John, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So I thought of you yesterday. Let's talk. I want to get to the Pentagon Press Corps in a minute, but because you dropped a bomb yesterday. But tell me what's going on behind the scenes with the Secretary of the Navy with Phelan's firing, if you will.
Sure. Well, I'll first say Secretary Phelan came out of the gate really strong. A lot of naval reorganization. He changed the leadership at the Naval Academy. He came out with the Golden Fleet, Trump-class battleships, the frigate. But there has always been tension between the Pentagon, Secretary's office, and others, and the Secretary of the Navy. He kind of made a deal with the admirals that they could kind of batten the hatches and do their own thing, and not really be a team player with some of the advancements that were going on. And that frustrated many in the Pentagon and the White House. But John Phelan is close personal friend with Trump, big donor of the campaign. He lives right next to Mar-a-Lago. John's a billionaire, so Trump gave him a long leash, and he did a lot of good. But, he's not to build ships, to get these agenda moving. You really have to get in front of the camera. You got to be dynamic. You got to engage audiences, and that was not his strong point. The Undersecretary of the Navy, Hung Cao, ran for the Senate, has one of the most viral videos on X, going after the communists. Strong Navy, EOD, everyone who knows him loves him. So I think this is passing of the baton on from someone who had those structural and economic and changes to someone who can really build excitement for shipbuilding, which is what we need to get Congress on board with Trump's plan.
So was the shipbuilding being stymied, or was it just not being supported in the right cheerleading kind of way? I mean, or was it a little of both?
I think the tire, it was just flat tires. All the air went out of the tires. We just got back from Sea Air Space Conference, the big Navy conference last year. It was, wall-to-wall excitement. Every room was absolutely packed, and the rebuilding of the Navy. And this time, it was very lightly attended, and people were, frustrated. There's just not much momentum on the great plans that Phelan set out last year.
Interesting. So maybe it was being, I guess, slowed down below him, and he didn't have the right leadership style to change that. Let's shift to the Pentagon Press Corps. You and I are both there. We both interviewed Hung Cao back when we started in December, I think in that roundtable we all had. Great guy. But my sense from the get-go at the Pentagon Press Corps is, one, there's a close symbiotic relationship between the Pentagon PA staff and the legacy press corps. I mean, they're all smiles, hugs, all of that. And there's really no professional distance. And I kind of felt like there was even derogatory comments against Hegseth and others by the legacy press corps, which they weren't hiding. I mean, what say you? What do you think's going on? You dropped a bomb. Tell us about that bomb too.
Yeah, I dropped a bomb, and I got a call from the Secretary of the Navy's office and a few other key people in the Pentagon yesterday. I don't know that I set off the the ejection of Phelan, but people are assuming that. What I did say is that there's been real. The Secretary of the Navy put the muzzle on all media and had every admiral, review all tweets through him. This is okay for a stealth plane at Skunk Works, but for shipbuilding, you need to get in the Wall Street, the investment, the shipbuilders, the merchant mariners, the naval architects. It's too big to do in quiet. So you really need that excitement, which I talked about, and just there's a sense of paranoia in the Pentagon, rightly so because of all the negative press with mainstream media. So there's been a lockdown, but the problem is these mainstream media, they have huge legal teams. New York Times sued the Pentagon to get back in, Washington Post, CNN. They have interns who can jump through all the hoops, find all the loopholes. We saw that ourselves. We've both taken trips with Secretary Seth. They were excluded from the Pentagon, but still managed through some loopholes to get on the trips. Well, now as the press has been suppressed more with the New York Times, he said, well, now we gotta kick everyone out. So even the new press corps has been pushed out to the library. Both of us had desks in there. They were closed in. They're making it harder. And at this conference, they made it really harder, very less interviews. Instead of an open mic at previous conferences, now you have an app, and the admirals select which questions they want to answer, which is absolutely ridiculous. But these mainstream media, they know how to go through the hoops. They know all the systems. They know who to contact, and they're very good at complaining, which we see. You and I don't have time to sit on the phone for an hour and complain about not being in a special interview. So, we don't necessarily have the time to fill out all the forms and jump through all the hoops. They do. So it ended up with the Secretary of the Navy and the CNO's conference. The legacy media got into the conference, and none of us got in to ask them any questions.
Wow. Yeah. Have you gotten any invitations to a trip lately? I mean, there was a flurry in the beginning, but what about lately? Anything?
Right before the Iran strike last week, just days before, last week in February was my last trip. I haven't seen that he's taken many trips. I think he did go to Iran, but there were security concerns there. But no, I have not. And these a lot of these restrictions, you and I have talked about this. Press conferences are great. But in order not to give the legacy media a head start on jumping through all these loopholes, they wait till the night before the press conference in order to announce it. It makes sense to not give them a head start. But the negative is only people within the D.C. area can get in. You're taking overnight trains. I commend you for that. I tried once. I drove through the night and then went to get a couple hours nap, and I woke up too late. So all these so they're ending up, even though they're trying to push out the mainstream media, they end up really restricting the independent media, who's got to travel in on our own dime, and do not have the staff to jump through all these loopholes.
Well, I noticed I went to the budget briefings 2 days ago, 5 hours of briefings on budget numbers, which was not that exciting, but I thought it was important. And I noticed all the legacy media were on a first name basis with the presenters, and he would call, okay, Bloomberg with XYZ, and they give the name. So all that happened. And then they looked around, oh, is there any of the other guys we should call on too? So I felt like, it was, you're at a disadvantage just walking in. Anyway,
it's an old boys club for sure. And
it's a big club, and we're not in it. Anything else you want to get out? I know you're busy, and I appreciate you giving us a few minutes, but what's on your plate right now?
Well, we continue to cover the Iran news, but the big takeaway from the big Navy conference is that there wasn't much talk. They're not concerned. All of this, immense pressure from Europe to kind of push the Navy to reopen the strait. It's not landing with the Navy guys. I think we will reopen the strait, but there's no pressure. There's absolutely no appetite to put any sailors or Marines at risk in order to push that strait as having the biggest implications on Europe. So I think we're continuing on there, but it's not a priority at all. And I think
that's really good to hear. No, that's really good to hear. I mean, there's a lot of concern about that. That's the best news I've heard all day. Thank you for that.
So. Absolutely. And then I think, the fake news continues with Phelan getting ejected. The Washington Post, Dan Lamont came out and said, took Biden's head of naval strategies take, which was that Phelan in an off comment said we might build some ships overseas, and Washington Post created this whole story. Phelan was fired because he wanted to build ships overseas, which is absolute nonsense. The entire academic think tank, they get money by not building ships, because by they write reports on why shipbuilding is broken. But if we actually built ships, that would all collapse. So there, all these stories and all the academics are retweeting, oh, this was about, Trump battleships. Trump doesn't really want the battleships, and which is horse sense. It was Trump was pushing this from the top down. So, they're taking these little tweets and expanding them into huge stories that are completely fake news.
Wow, such great insight, John. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I love getting straight from the ship's mouth, if you say. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well, in the case of hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, these are two medications that have been FDA approved for use in humans for decades. They are very, very inexpensive. Interestingly, available over the counter in almost every other country other than the US and Canada. You can just walk into a pharmacy and buy them like we buy Tylenol in much of the world because they're that safe. And we've known for decades that ivermectin has very strong antiviral properties. It has anti-inflammatory properties, and both ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine are what we call zinc ionophores. They help to move zinc from the bloodstream into the cell, which is where it needs to be in order to fight off a virus. So lots of application for these, and we have every reason to believe that those drugs also will likely have some efficacy against H5N1 or a number of other respiratory viruses that we may meet down the road.
If you haven't noticed, gold has reached a new high, all-time highs actually, and keeps going up every day. Why is that? It's because precious metals are a long-time historical store of value. And if you own a portfolio and you have assets in the fiat currencies, i.e. stocks, bonds, cash, or whatever, you're vulnerable to hyperinflation, which is coming as our debt explodes another trillion every 90 days. It's really scary. So how do you protect yourself? Go to Advisor Metals. If you look on any of our cdm.press sites, about halfway down, there's an ad for Advisor Metals. Click on it, fill out the form for your contact info, and Ira Bishotsky will contact you and talk to you. It's an easy conversation. There's no sales pitch. He's completely verified by us. He has a regulatory background we've checked into. We've checked with his bankers. We've checked with his IRA custodians for metals, and we can highly recommend Advisor Metals and IRA. So go to Advisor Metals. If you call them directly, tell them we sent you at CDM, and he'll definitely take care of you. But protect your portfolio because you really need to. It's coming. Thank you. Welcome back to the SCIF. Again, we're on the road. We're in Savannah, Georgia. We'll be doing more reporting over the next 24 hours here and meeting with sources for our paper, Georgia Record or georgiarecord.com, which is one of our 13 websites. And we're bringing in new talent into the Georgia paper. So look for that and for that paper to grow. Really love our guests today. One thing you can do is support us by going to my.cdm.press. my.cdm.press and signing up for our no ad subscriptions. It's $10 a month or $100 a year. Pay the $100, get it out of the way. People love it. They get to surf around all of our ads. Once you log in, surf around all of our sites. Once you log in, you can go to each site and there won't be any ads popping up, display ads or pop-up ads. So we really appreciate that. It's been very effective. We get a lot of good feedback on that. So thank you for that. Sign up for our Rumble. You can get on our newsletters. You can subscribe to our YouTube, CDM_press on X. And just please spread the word, the links to the show. And CDM is a new wire service without the global news, without the global spin, we say. So thank you for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow with a plethora of guests, including Pete Blaber, Promethean Action, and others. So we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us today, and looking forward to being back with you 10 to noon on the SCIF tomorrow, Monday through Friday Eastern. Take care.